Hi, this is Curious Mystics Podcast, formerly Spiritual Mamas Podcast. Together we explore the mysteries of the spiritual world, sometimes boldly,
Sometimes cautiously.
but always with open hearts
and curious minds.
Let's go. Hello and welcome back.
Hi, thanks for being here.
You know who we are, Curious Mystics. We're here. It's Aericka and Kim.
As usual. Mm-hmm. Imagine one day they get on and somebody else is here.
Wait, I thought it was you two. Oh, man, what's going on? What do we got?
Not much. Not much has changed since we spoke last. Just like 2 seconds ago.
True that.
I was going to ask you earlier and I forgot. Is that a raven on your shirt?
It is. It's a raven and a skull and it says, "All we've got is time."
Oh.
And I actually got it from Target.
It's cute.
Yeah, thank you.
I like it. I've been thinking a lot about, or seeing a lot, like with ravens and crows lately, so it caught my eye and I just forgot to ask you.
Yeah. I forgot to tell you, although maybe I did tell you, can't remember. I am now officially offering shamanic work.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
Well, I am. Yeah. As of...
Okay.
I am officially offering shamanic work. I do everything from soul retrievals to house blessings, land blessings. If you have issues with your house or your land and you want to know what's going on, I can find out for you potentially. And power animal retrievals and
amazing
extractions and healings and balancings and all of the stuff. So if you're interested, you can send a message here at the curious_mystics_podcast on Instagram, or you can Instagram me on at Aericka Condi, or you can email at Curious Mystics Podcast, probably the best thing at this point, at gmail.com, and I can work with you.
Amazing. Well, we'll have to get that word out there a little bit more. That's really awesome that you're finally at that point now.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to working with people. So
cool.
Anyway.
All right. Today we're going to talk about something that is a little bit scary to me. And we'll get into it. But we're going to talk about the crossover between spirituality and technology.
I don't know what to think of this, so I'm excited.
This is something that maybe not scary, but it makes me nervous. It excites me, but it makes me nervous. And I thought a lot about why that is. So we're just going to dive in and then kind of explore that together.
Okay.
One of the first things that I wanted to do, though, was kind of talk about the idea of technology. It is a very broad term. Mm-hmm. And over time has been seen as different things. Basically, the advancement of society in some way. Mm. So in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, that could have been the materials used to build houses. That could have been the electricity and how it was established in certain places versus in everywhere.
The Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, that was a technological advancement. So thinking about that sort of stuff back then, or as we get closer to now, technology looks a little different. We might still be talking about some of those changes in materials, but maybe the creation of Google in the late 1990s. I think it was 98. That was a huge advancement for society. That was a huge technological advancement. The internet had already existed for so long, but that made it so much more accessible for people, right? But for the purposes of this episode, I'm going to kind of narrow down this term of technology. Okay. Understanding that we need specific advancements in physical devices and things I'm really looking at technology as like the less tangible stuff, the radio waves, the electricity, the internet, the things that we are advancing with the actual devices. But I'm not necessarily talking so much about the devices themselves.
Okay.
So, what has this meant for me? What have I seen as the crossover between the two or the connection between the two? And I think when I first started researching for this episode today, part of the reason why it made me nervous was because it's not much. I didn't know much about spirituality in technology, technology in spirituality, the connection or crossover between the two.
I mean, it's an interesting
Yeah.
thought. Like I wouldn't have probably thought about it until we were kind of outlining things that we were going to talk about. So it's kind of an interesting
Yeah.
thing to even put together.
I mean, at this moment, before getting too far into it, what is it that your understanding is of those two things?
Like technology and spirituality.
Yeah.
I guess for me, it's more of the how I utilize the internet, or how
Okay.
I like we're like right now we're
Yeah.
on the internet, we're on a platform to do this recording. But like the classes I take for the shamanism is through Zoom. It's all online. And we meet virtually, and
Yeah.
so it's helped me be able to grow my practice because I can virtually have these classes. And I would virtually work with clients that way too if I wanted to. So that's kind of how I see it, and like finding out more information about different practices,
Definitely.
which is good and bad, depending on how you're taking that information that you're getting. But yeah, that's kind of how I would use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much where I had kept my understanding up until this point. And then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, at the time of recording, it's early September 2025. I personally have only used ChatGPT like a handful of times, and I went and counted, and it was like 17 times exactly ever that I have used it. And generally, I will type something in, and then maybe there's a clarity question, a follow-up question, or a redirection, and then I'm done. And I walk away from that chat and I never go back to it. But I'm having conversations with people that are like, I'm always using ChatGPT, or I'm revisiting my chats, or I'm using it and making it so much a part of their day. So I recognize that I'm coming from a perspective that's a little bit limited on exposure.
I do use ChatGPT quite a bit.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I'm gonna admit I do use it a lot. I use it, but I don't know that I use it like for full conversations, or like, I'm not using it daily.
Yeah.
But I definitely use it a lot. But then also will cross check stuff that I do come across on it. But yeah, I do use it.
Yeah. And I'm not saying there's anything, wrong with that, but I understand that like my limited exposure is part of the reason why I'm a little apprehensive when it comes to technology in general. And I'm using ChatGPT as an example, but in general, my phone is set to do not disturb for unknown callers. If your phone number is not stored in my phone, you're automatically going to voicemail. I'm not revisiting that ever. All of my settings on all of the social medias that I use are private. I don't really do much online engagement. Like I understand and use technology, but I'm not like deep into technology. The other part of my apprehension with technology is a little bit of like fear of what could happen. And I think specifically of instances where people have been misrepresented, misunderstood, or identity theft has happened. Like you post something online, someone takes a snapshot of it, and all of a sudden that becomes everything that you are, even though it's just one facet of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And now with AI, it's even kind of scarier. People are just like putting stuff out there that doesn't even, is not real at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So those like fears, concerns, unknowns is where I'm coming from with this. This is like how I entered this arena and kind of started thinking about this. So the question that I really tried to like wrap my mind around is like, how and when would we incorporate technology into spirituality? Like, why would we incorporate those things? How do we know when it's the right time? You know, what instances, that sort of stuff. And as I was looking at it, I realized that this is not a conversation being had in one camp. This is not a spiritual conversation. This is not a technology conversation. This is across the board. So,
yeah, I definitely have heard this concern across the board too. Yeah.
Yeah, I found like in some of my research, and realistically a lot of the things I'm going to be talking today I haven't necessarily done a lot of research on, but it's stuff that I've come across or thought of or learned as I was going. But in some of the things I noticed, like just this past summer, Harvard had a summer course titled Technology and Spirituality.
Really?
So you think about from an educational perspective, from an institutional, a very significant institution, how they're looking at the crossover between these two things. Universal Life Church, which is a very large non-denominational religious organization, has an entire blog post from this past summer about how spirituality and technology can coincide. Medium.com, which is an online source that has a lot of articles across beliefs. It's not just spiritual, it's not technical, it's everything. Has articles about the connection between these two things. So regardless of where you look, people are considering, thinking about, talking about these two things being crossed over.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It kind of opened my eyes to like, oh, this isn't like if this is a thing, this is a thing. And how are people looking at it? Mm-hmm. So it really kind of like boiled down to the way in which a person, individual, organization, belief system, whatever, how they are approaching this topic. It might be surface level, it might be deeper. It's really depending on like what their outcome is, what they are looking to achieve in the end of all of this. So I'm going to give some examples, and this is not an all-encompassing list, but here are some examples of how these two things cross over. Expanding or perfecting your spiritual connection using technology. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those areas where you might be using an actual physical device, which I said we're not really going to touch on, but how we access that or how we use the information that device is letting us access. Mm-hmm. I thought specifically about neurofeedback and biofeedback.
Okay.
So in a simple sense, I wear an Apple Watch. Mm-hmm. My Apple Watch can detect my heart rate. If I am using that to detect my heart rate while I am meditating, while I am grounding, while I am in spiritual practice, that gives me information to let me know there might be times where it's more optimal for me to be meditating, or there might be certain conditions or situations that make it more optimal for me to meditate.
That's interesting.
Some of the other things that I thought of that I haven't used, and it might be accessible to different levels depending on where you're at. Something that might be less accessible to some people would be something like neurofeedback, where you're checking your brain waves. Mm-hmm. So you might be wearing some sort of device on your head or having some sort of wires hooked up where you can monitor your brain waves while in a meditative state, while grounding, while sleeping, while, if you're trying to astral project, what do your brain waves look like then?
Yeah.
And then going to the other end, something that might be more accessible. I've seen so many different people talk about like the Aura ring, and you can wear it while you sleep, and it gives you all sorts of information about like your REM sleep and all of that stuff. But there are much more affordable versions of it. I can't think of what they're called right now. I've never used it, but
yeah, me neither.
I've heard a lot about it where it's like, yeah, you can get a lot of information about yourself and what your physical body is doing or your physiology is doing while you're connecting with spirituality.
Yeah, that would be wild. My daughter has one, and she was showing me some of the stuff that it does. That would be really cool, though, to do, like, to have that information.
Yeah.
Because your watch can't necessarily do it as
Right.
specifically. So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hey friends, we just wanted to take a moment to remind you all that you can interact with us on social media. We can be found at Curious Mystics Podcast on all platforms.
And if you haven't already, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share so that we can keep showing up for you guys with new weekly episodes and content. Thank you for hanging out with us so far, and stay curious.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, people say that they use their watch for all sorts of things. Somebody that I know, gosh, I can't remember who it was now. Somebody that I know has a watch, and it's not an Apple Watch, it's a different brand. But they were like, here, check your blood pressure. And I was like, your watch is not checking my blood pressure. It's not happening. Like, I don't care what numbers it gives me. It's not happening.
It's not happening. Yeah, how would it unless it squeezed you? It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way.
Right. Oh, but even thinking about that, like, as far as biofeedback is concerned, I do have a blood pressure cuff, and I can check my blood pressure. And if I did that, throughout a spiritual practice, then I might be able to use that information as well. So expanding and perfecting your spiritual connection via technology. That's one way that they cross over. Another way, and we talked about this a minute ago, but like just accessing spiritual education and information via online sources. So whether that is Googling information for a jumping off point, where do I start with this? What direction can I go in with this? Connecting to specific websites, specific platforms that might give you more information on what you're looking at. When this was, I don't know, years ago, when I was first becoming interested in like learning more about tarot, there was a website that I went to, Labyrinthos, I think it was. I'll link it. I'll link it in the notes because I can't remember right now. But that was a good website for me to learn more about the cards and all of that. I don't use that so much right now, but it is something that I can reference back to. Like, hey, here's what message I'm receiving if I do a tarot pull. If I have more questions or want more information or want confirmation, let me go to that website and see what they say about what this spread looks like or what these cards mean. So, just like the education piece of it all. Using technology to connect with spiritual groups or people. So, creating community, connection. And specifically, I was thinking about things like Discord or WhatsApp, where they create group chats with hundreds of people to have community and connection.
Yep. Yeah.
Have you had any experience or interaction with any of those types of things?
With like Discord or like the web? No, I haven't. But just like I said before, like with the Zoom, being able to be on the class with the Zoom, like made community that way. I mean, I've looked on Reddit, like I've done. I've like definitely perused the Reddit about questions I've had or like what people are saying about that. So yeah, that's similar.
Yeah, I would definitely put this in that camp. As you were saying that too, I was thinking of like people that do like live streams on like Twitch or something. I've never been on there, but I hear people referencing it, and it's like, yeah, this is a place where maybe a person or multiple people, I'm not really sure how it works, will do the live stream, will host the live stream, but then all of these other people get to engage, they get to interact, they get to find community, they get to, connect with one another.
Does YouTube do that? They do lives, right? YouTube?
I think so. I think all of the major platforms do. if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure that you could do a live on pretty much any platform, but they might have their own like rules about when you could do a live. You have to meet certain qualifications, but yeah. Divination was another one that came up for me. Divination with using like the internet or using randomization of technology in some way. So the two specific examples that came to mind, because I've used both of these, even though I didn't think about it as divination, and we've talked about divination before, we did not cover these things in divination, but you can go back and listen to that episode if you want more info. Using some sort of like online or digital randomizing tool if you're trying to make a decision. Instead of like turning to the cards or rolling dice or flipping a coin or something like that, you can go online and like, okay, I'm going to spin the wheel and whatever it lands on. Or I'm going to put all my decisions in and spin it. Or I'm going to flip this coin and whatever it lands on. The idea with divination is that you're using your intuition to interpret the message that you're getting. So you can interpret the message, whether it's online or something that's tangible that you're holding in front of you. You can interpret that message.
Yeah, that's an interesting use of it. I like that.
Yeah. And then the other one, and this one I'm sure that more people probably can connect with. Turn on the radio and a song is playing, and all of a sudden it's a song that means something, and you're like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted to hear, or exactly what I needed to hear, or whatever.
Yeah, or like the podcast that you pick up, you're just like, wait, like I literally was just thinking about this. Like, and they just said everything I needed to know about what I was just thinking.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, that's something that's like random, but you're using this digital technology in some way for your spiritual practice, your spiritual beliefs, your spiritual thoughts, like in that sense. So I just had that experience the other day. I was, I guess the details don't matter. Wherever I was coming from, I was with a group of people and I had a specific song in my mind. And I was like, oh, I really want to listen to that song. But I did not put it on because the people that I was with were not in that mood at the moment. So I was like, let's not change the mood for everybody. And I get into my car and I turn on my Spotify. I was on Spotify. And I just set it to like shuffle anything.
Right.
And that song came up and I was like, I freaking love the universe for listening to me right now.
You're like, thank you. That's so funny.
I'm like, yes, I feel like sometimes that way you can use it in that way or to your advantage. And then one of the other things that came up for me in all of this was like accelerating spiritual growth. And this is a little tricky. We've talked about this before, like not trying to do spiritual bypassing or anything like that.
Right. But
sometimes you don't know where to start. You don't know where to turn. You don't know what the next question is. Sometimes we get stuck in that way.
Right.
So using certain platforms, ChatGPT, to come up with deeper journaling questions or to explore yourself in different ways. Like that could be a way of using it for spiritual growth in a way that might be a little bit more accelerated than if you were to just let it play out on its own for yourself. The other thing I was thinking with this too is like faster or deeper or longer connection to like certain meditative states. So specifically on YouTube, you can find like 8-hour-long binaural beats videos. Let me play that while I'm sleeping. And so I can stay connected to my theta state longer so that I can stay in that spiritual connection longer.
Yeah. I mean, I use YouTube all the time for meditation, for, you name it. I mean, as far as meditation or journaling or trying to get like into some sort of, maybe not necessarily meditative, but like in a into that space.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. So I think that, like, recognizing that there is a very clear connection between the two, that you can use them in vastly different ways depending on what your goal is, but knowing that they're both there for you to access and continue to grow in your journey, whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So in all of this, some of the things that I was thinking was, like, it's important for me. I think it was really important to have that spiritual connection, the intuition, that draw towards those things first. And I don't know that that's the case for everyone. I don't know if some people come into this and, like, oh, I'm going to, use technology and learn about this stuff, but then all of a sudden that throws me into this spiritual path that I wasn't even looking for, or gives me an understanding of it, or lets me, whatever. Like, I don't know what people's experiences are. But I think it is important for myself and maybe for a lot of other people to have that draw towards the spirituality first, to feel at least connected in your intuition so that you can clarify what these messages are or what direction to go in.
Yeah. I think if you're just like, you heard somebody say something about something and then just kind of like Googled it without really having a foundation of, I don't know how I feel about that. Because, like, how do you get into things sometimes? I mean, like, I just use that example. Like, you hear somebody say something about something and then you Google it. Like, I did that with, oh my gosh, human design.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say something about it. I was like, I don't know what that is. And this, like, went down this crazy, like, human design rabbit hole. I ended up getting a book and, like, whole 9 yards. But so I was already in the spiritual space before that, but I don't know. Like, how can you, like, clarify your thoughts on that?
So I was thinking, like, and I don't know if this is a thing that happens, but I was thinking about people who might be more scientific, or people who might be less inclined to spirituality but be doing research on it, and then that all of a sudden opens up the world of, like, oh wait, maybe this is something that I'm interested in, maybe this is something that I do resonate with, maybe this is something that I need or that I want, and then get drawn towards it. And I don't know.
Is that a bad thing?
No, not that it's a bad thing, but I don't know how often that happens versus how often people first start from a space of spirituality and then use technology in that spiritual practice.
I feel like it probably does happen a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you start to research something just kind of, like, pops out and it's like, oh, okay, this isn't, like, woo-woo. It's actual, like, it actually could work, or it actually could work for me, or I do understand that, or it just kind of awakens something in them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would imagine that it happens for sure. I don't hear about it. So I'm like, how much is it happening? I wonder. But
yeah,
like, in either way, I think appreciating the progress that both can bring when you combine them, when you pull them together, and learn what works for you.
Yeah.
Some people may not find it as useful to use technology in certain ways to advance their spirituality. Some people may not find it as useful in some ways to incorporate spirituality into whatever tech looks like for them, especially if it's coming from that background.
I think it's important, especially if it's coming from that background, okay, so let's say that is how you get introduced to spiritual, and you're like, okay, yes, this resonates for empathy. I feel like you can't just rely on internet, ChatGPT, or whatever solely for your experience and knowledge.
Yeah.
I think you have to find people that are living it or are in a similar situation or whatever, so you can actually get personal, grounded information and community, so that you're not solely relying on technology and internet for your information. I feel like you have to find, even if it's just through, like, that Discord, you're still talking to real people. I feel like that is very important in spiritual practice, not to just be in this, like, Ethernet situation.
Yeah. We've talked about this a lot, and I've said this before. For me, in my perspective, the foundation of it all, of spirituality, of having a stable, pleasurable, successful life, is community and connection. That's the foundation. So I 100% agree. I think you need to be able to connect with other people, even if it's not, you know, we are getting together every other day or having all these conversations or doing all these things. Like, it doesn't have to be that in depth, but having that connection, I think, is super, super important.
Yeah, even if you went to like a workshop by yourself, even if like, I feel like just like that human connection in some form needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think just coming back to like what I started this with, my conundrum of like, is this scary? Is this exciting? How do I approach this? Like, what's going on? One of the thoughts that came up to me as I was going through this is that I'm not, which is interesting, but I'm not scared of spirituality, even though there is an unknown component to it, the faith component to it, right? Like, you have faith in something, even if you can't explain it or tangibly see it or grasp it. Although I do have a belief that somewhere internally, and this is the intuition piece that comes in, you might know it even if you don't know you know it. So there's that. But when I think about it from that perspective, if I'm not scared of spirituality, why am I so scared of technology or bringing technology into spirituality? And I think it kind of boils down to like the introduction of everyone else. And you're looking at me all confused.
I'm like, okay.
Like, what are you talking about? I know that I just said I am all about community and connection, and that's what I'm looking for. So why, when it's at my fingertips in the technology form, why do I retreat? So I think what I've kind of torn away from myself is that everyone having access to me, whether I know it or not, in this specific moment, like, even though I have all my privacy settings on, and even though all of these things, and this is how I engage or don't engage or whatever, when I incorporate the internet, when I incorporate, even if we're not talking about the internet, if I'm talking about biofeedback, someone can see my data somewhere. When I incorporate that aspect, that's the piece that kind of gives me pause. That's the piece that I retreat from.
Yeah.
It is out of my hands then. I don't necessarily know that someone else has my information or what they're doing with it or how they're using it. And that's the part that kind of brings me back. So in all of this, I kind of have made it a personal goal of mine that I am going to start to expose myself more so that I can get more information, but also so that I can put myself out there intentionally, and with protection and all of that stuff, but expose myself more on purpose to the crossover between spirituality and technology to find a space that I'm comfortable with. Because I do think that they can so easily go hand in hand for personal advancement, for societal advancement. So I want to be able to explore that and expose myself to that. But I know that I've been holding myself back, and I need to like be very intentional with that moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand the whole like exposure like of yourself and what people have, because I think that's partially also where I was getting at with like no. But I think that what you put out and what you interact with, like let's say you're looking at reels or whatever, you're still getting whatever that is energy exposed to you and you exposed to them. And that still can be good or bad. And so I agree with that, like the whole like not wanting to put too much out there and people having all access to me. But yeah, I think, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think that technology, the reason that I would be nervous about technology is more that you don't necessarily know that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me makes me nervous. That's
Mm-hmm.
why AI makes me nervous. That's why, like, even like looking at reels or looking at TikTok, it's not real 99% of the time.
Yeah.
And that to me is scary. And also, if that's my only connection to spirituality, it's not real.
Yeah.
And I'm allowing that into my field
Yeah.
as far as, again, if that's my only, but even if it's something that I'm frequently connecting to,
Mm-hmm.
which I need to pull back from, but, and I recognize that.
Yeah.
But if you're only interacting with that and you're not interacting with real people, like real people,
Yeah.
like in person, real people, not real
Yep.
people on reels, but real people,
Yeah.
you know, then I think that can be detrimental, scary, energy releasing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but it also could be good too at the same time, because I have learned things from looking at these reels and then, or, or Instagram or whatever it is, and then going to whoever that person is to find out more information about them to see,
Mm-hmm.
is it something that like is interesting to me to find more information about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's something to be said about like having the awareness to check in and see like where you're at with any of that. Even when I think about my spiritual beliefs and my spiritual practices, there is a level of faith that happens there that I am inherently trusting. But even then, that's an internal knowing. Like I
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to how my body physiologically reacts to those things, those
Mm-hmm.
understandings, those thoughts, those experiences. I am checking in with, does this feel right? Is this aligned? Is this like I am going, even if it's quickly, going through kind of a mental checklist of how does this fit into my beliefs? And that's kind of how I double check. Is this something that I have faith in, or is this something that's presenting itself or that I'm experiencing or that I'm engaging with that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
align with my beliefs? And
Right.
if I apply that same logic sort of to the technology piece of it, I don't have to blindly have faith in what I'm engaging in. Maybe have a healthy dose of skepticism, maybe have,
Mm-hmm.
sources to double check what I'm taking in, but purposefully allowing myself, instead of just hiding from it because I want to protect myself, being able to expose because I can also be hiding from things that could be helpful,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or things that I need to be seeing or hearing or exploring, and just kind of like I don't need to be in a cocoon with that
Right.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, yeah, I think we talk about balance all the time. There's got to be a balance
yeah,
between the
yeah,
use and the knowledge you're getting and what you're putting out there and
hmm,
all that stuff.
yeah, 100%. So
Because without technology, people wouldn't be getting our podcast. So,
right,
you know.
right. Yeah, I think I went into this very much like apprehensive, like I don't even know if I want to explore this topic. And I came out of it being a little bit more curious, which is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Being a little bit more open to having the experience and just wanting to be very intentional with it. So,
Mm-hmm.
kind of just taking that and
I feel,
recognizing that it can be used in so many different ways. It doesn't
yeah, I
have
mean,
to
I,
be.
I feel like that's like a good way to just approach technology these days, anyways. Because
Mm-hmm,
again, with the whole what's real, what's fake,
mm-hmm,
you know, misinformation, etc.
mm-hmm.
What just being intentional with how you consume it
Yeah,
and what you think of it. If you're questioning, like, I'm not sure about that, do some more research,
right,
or, oh, I'm
right,
interested in that, do some more research. Don't just take
right.
the first thing that you see and fly.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, that was everything I had. I was like, where is this going to take me? And now
Yeah.
I feel like I have a little bit more of a defined path.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that like I don't really ever, not that I don't ever think about it, because obviously, again, what I just said about
Mm-hmm.
like the consuming and being mindful of it, but it's not something that was really like on my mind, that you put the two together, how you
Yeah,
use the two, or how it could be good, how it could be not as good.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, Anyway, I think if there's other experiences to be had, if there's other understandings of how these things go together, I would love to hear more. I want to know more about it, so feel free to reach out and let us know.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Well,
Well, till next time.
Stay
Curious.